Well, greetings. Happy Friday. Here we are. Here we are on a Friday, the 13th of October. Today, I'm going to share with you why people don't persist and the symptoms for lack of persistence. So, get a piece of paper, get one of your favorite pens, because I'm going to share with you from one of my favorite books in here, The Lack of Persistence, why people don't persist and how come teams don't persist if they don't bond together. So, welcome everybody. Thanks for being here. Myself and Harrison Klein, we've been sharing many things with you on leadership and wealth and how you can get to that next level. And today, as we focus on this topic, I want you to pay specific attention to these the lack of persistence, the symptoms that you can have. That once they're highlighted, you can actually stop them and become better. Basically, if you stop them and build the right habits. But before we go into the negative side of it or the lack, I want to give you the positive first. Now, how do you persist? How do you persist? And I'm going to be like fairly quick on this today, right? So the number one thing to persist, there are actually four things you need to persist. You need a definite purpose. And that definite purpose, if you've read definite purpose and if you studied with me, you've heard it before, basically it's going to be backed by a burning desire, by something that you really, 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 really want. And meaning you want to get it fulfilled. So it has to be something you want to do. You have to perform it, and you have to want it, and you're not going to stop with it. The second thing, you need a definite plan. Now, it has to be an organized plan. It doesn't need to be a complete plan. It doesn't need to be a 100-page plan, but it has to be a simple plan. So, definite purpose, and then a definite plan. Simple plan that you actually can follow with continuous action. Many people fall into making a plan and they don't take any action, and then nothing happens. And then the third thing is, I'm going to read the words here. It says, a mind closed tightly against all negative and discouraging influences. And if you look up the book here, this is on my book. It's right page 233. A mind closed tightly against all negative and discouraging influences. So you got to stay focused because you're going to get drifted. The old paradigm and so many things are coming at you. We're so busy, you're going to drift, but you got to stay tight. And fourth, which is really the most important, a friendly alliance, a group, a team that's really helping you on this journey. So you're not going to be able to do this alone. Obviously, if you can, you would have done it. Very few people do it alone. You got to do it with a team. You got to do it with a group. You got to grow to that $1 million, $10 million, $100 million with a group, and you need to be around people that are doing something like that. Um, that's why the saying goes, we become what we think about. We become the average of the 4 or 5 people that we hang around. So you need a group, you need an alliance, and that's what we have, myself and my business partner Harrison Klein. All right, so this is how you persist. And there's other videos on that somewhere here in my system, but so if you can't find it, let me know and we'll get it to you. My contacts are right there on the screen, so reach out for that. Now, but the topic today is the symptoms of lack of persistence. So, what are things that you're probably not aware of that you could have? And if you can identify the symptoms, you can just start persisting. All right. So, I'm going to mention them fairly briefly. What are these symptoms? And again, they're like right out of this book here. So, number one, failure to recognize and to clearly define exactly what one wants. Some people think they know what they want, but when if you ask them, I had a master class yesterday. I said, "Do you really, really know what you want?" And you're like, "Oh, I kind of do." But when you really ask and you think, right? So that's number one. Number two, procrastination with or without cause. How many things you're procrastinating on, right? Are you moving faster, or are you saying, "I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it next week. I'll do it next month. I'll work out, maybe on my birthday," right? Usually backed up with a formidable array of alibis and excuses. That's why we procrastinate. You see, you don't procrastinate on what you want. Like today, I did not procrastinate on my coffee. I wanted my coffee and got my coffee, right? So we don't procrastinate on what we want. But if you're procrastinating on your goal and taking the action, it's because you don't really want it. Number three, lack of interest in acquiring specialized knowledge. You have to be interested in learning. You have to be interested in growing. You have to be interested in really getting better at your craft. Specialized knowledge, like I don't need to know everything how this whole thing works, but I need to know bits and pieces of it to that next level so I can lead. Okay. Number four, indecision, the habit of passing the buck on all occasions instead of facing issues squarely. Things will happen, events will happen, seminars will happen, projects will happen, but you can't be passing the buck. You got to take responsibility. right? The buck stops here. Like you got to take that responsibility. Number five, the habit of relying upon alibis. Remember how we're saying habits so many times? It's all habitual. And that's the paradigm that we're in. We got to change your habit. And that's what we can do. That's actually the number best way to change. We take a negative habit out and we put a positive habit. The habit of relying upon alibis instead of creating definite plans for the solution of problems. Things come up and you're like, oh, this is what happened. This is what she did. This is what he did. This is what. No. What are we going to do about it? That's number six, self satisfaction. There is but little remedy for this affliction and no hope for those who suffer from it. So, you see how we're talking about responsibility. You got to take absolute 100% responsibility. If you're still blaming your parents, if you're still blaming your mom and your dad and your country, forget it. Nothing's going to happen from that. You got to take that responsibility. Number seven, indifference, usually reflected in one's readiness to compromise on all occasions rather than meet opposition and fight. Very simple. So you have to be know what you want and just say, yeah, it's what I want. Number eight, the habit of blaming others for one's mistakes, for and accepting unfavorable circumstances as being unavoidable. So you got to take that responsibility. But if you have a habit of blaming others for your own mistake, you're not taking responsibility. So you see, we go back to that leadership. We go back to how you build a team. And that's why this is important, right? It's very, very clear. Number nine, weakness of desire due to neglect in the choice of motives that impel action. So it's almost like the first thing, right? Definite purpose, burning desire. What do you really want? What do you work on every day? You see, you don't procrastinate on what you want. So weakness of desire. Number 10, willingness and eagerness to quit at the first sign of defeat. Some people will just start something and it doesn't work. They start something else, doesn't work, and then they quit. Now I tried, I can't, and then they go back, and that's it. That's not a sign of burning desire. That's not a sign of you really, really want it. Like if you really want, you got to keep doing it. You got to keep training. You got to keep training until you can to put the basketball in the hoop, right? You got to get that home run. You got to keep practicing. You got to keep doing it. And if you don't, it's a sign of you're not willing. You're not eager. Every one of us is able. We're just not willing to go the path. Number 11, lack of organized plans placed in writing where they may be analyzed. See, you need a plan. And most people will get stuck on the plan for a long time. They'll get people to help them and they do it and they don't move into action. So you need a simple plan, like a one-page plan, two-page plan. It doesn't matter if it's $1 million project or and it could be bigger, but you should be able to articulate the plan very simply. And if you don't understand the plan as the leader, as the team manager, as the owner, then you're just not into it enough. So you have to get into it enough, right? The habit of neglecting to move on ideas or to grasp opportunity when it presents itself. So when you have procrastination and when you have delays in your mind, you're not moving. The intuition and the universe is giving you ideas, but you don't move, and that's a habit. We delay. We are so distracted, so we got to change this habit. And notice how many times we talk about responsibility, about habits, about your old behavior, and that's what we're going to change. And these are some of these you probably have, some of these I probably have, and we just got to keep getting better. Number 13, wishing instead of willing. See, so many people are wishing and hoping they'll get better. They're interested, they're not committed. See, if you're interested, you'll do it if it feels good. But if you're committed, you'll do it no matter what. So there's no wishing and hope of success. You got to be willing to do it. You got to do it no matter what. Number 14, the habit of compromising with poverty instead of aiming at riches. General absence of ambition to be, to do, and to own. So many people are accepting the poverty level. And that is a problem. If you accept your condition at the lower level where you're at, you're not going to move. You have to say, no, I'm not going to be like that. This does not define me, and I got to be better than this. You deserve more, and you want more, and you're going to be more. But if you accept your circumstance, you're not going to move forward. Now, this is what we're going to help you build, right? This is the mindset where we're going to have to believe in yourself, change your attitude, become a good follower, start surrounding yourself with good people and affirming these new things and take some action. And that's what we can do to change you very, very fast. Number 15, searching for all the shortcuts to riches, trying to get without giving a fair equivalent, usually reflected in the habit of gambling, endeavoring to drive sharp bargains. There's no shortcut to success. You may get lucky by winning the lotto ticket. I hear today is like $1.7 billion here in the US, which is good. Yeah, if you want to buy a ticket, buy a ticket. Good luck with it, right? One out of 380 million. You might get it, you might not. But there's no shortcuts. You have to do the work. You have to put the time. You have to put the effort. If you're always looking for the shortcut, it's not going to happen. Number 16, fear of criticism, failure to create plans and to put them into action because of what other people will think. Many people suffer from this. You're worried about what your parents are saying, your brothers, you this, that, people who has no idea, people who don't really want you to succeed. They're just jealous from you doing better, but you're worrying about what they think. Who cares what they think? What do you think of you, right? It's none of their business, none of your business what they think of you. It's what you think of you, and we can teach you that stuff as well. This enemy belongs to the head of the list because it generally exists in one's subconscious mind where its presence is not recognized. Now, that's the problem with these lack of these symptoms. You don't even know you have them. You're just naturally doing them. You're habitually doing them. And when you come and study with us, this mindset stuff that we teach me and Harrison, we get you to bring the best out of you. We start doing things in a certain way. Wallace said, "You do not get rich by doing certain things. You get rich by doing things in a certain way." So we're going to get you to believe it. We're going to get you to change your attitude. We're going to get you to become a good follower by being a leader. We're going to get you to surround yourself with a sense of community and affirm that goal multiple times a day and take action towards it. Now, these lack of symptoms are incredible. I really, really like them because when I go through them with somebody that I'm coaching, mentoring, growing, one of the CEOs and the VPs, usually that's who they want to get used to this. We see where they are and then we change habitually. We take a bad negative habit, we put a positive habit. See, you don't just change a negative habit. You don't just stop a negative habit. Like you can't just stop smoking because then you go gambling. You can't just stop gambling. Then you're gonna go do some other bad stuff. So we replace it with a positive one. And then we get you to persist, right? I want you to decide right now that you're going to do something with this information. To develop that persistence, quitting is not an option, right? I want you to decide what you want, decide what are you willing to give up to get it, and get busy doing it. That's the exchange. That's the fear of exchange. Most of you out there are just watching things, thinking things will just happen by just watching. Nothing's going to happen by just watching. Decide that you're going to become that best version of yourself. Decide what you want. Decide what are you prepared to give up to get it, and get busy doing it. That's the natural progression. So, if any of these symptoms hit home and you're like, man, I do that all the time. I don't do this. I don't do that. Let's have a chat. Let's have a conversation. My number's there somewhere on this link. On if you're watching live or on the recording, there should be a way to get hold of me, and I look forward to speaking with you. And if not, until then, have an amazing day, and talk to you soon. Thank you so much.